Okay, so we'll start with inverse kinematics, and before we can kind of proceed to that, we'll need to learn about armature bones and whatnot. Okay, so we will just do a quick example here on the side where we have our armature, right? So an armature is basically a rig. It's a bone rig that you'll be creating inside your scene. However, you can have multiple armature, and that's not kind of recommended when you're dealing with a single object, okay? But before we get started, let's kind of study our model right here. And this one has been prepared. There's a previous video setting this up, okay, prior to the forward kinematics. So this is the inverse kinematics lesson, which we will rig this lamp using inverse, and then parts of it will be for forward kinematics. So it'll be a combination of both, right? Again, we're trying to simplify everything. There's better ways to do it for more advanced model, but for learning purpose, I think this is the best way to kind of approach it. Okay, so let's take a look at our model again. If we select the base, its job is just to simply to move, correct? And then the base neck right here is just to rotate it this way. This one is just to kind of rotate it going this way. The same thing with this. And this one as well. Okay, we've kind of made it rigid. We made it so that you don't have a lot of freedom with the animation. Okay, so those are the ones we need to kind of rig for our bone. So I'm going to go to the side viewport here. Okay, but before we get started, I want to position or rotate the model already at a where it has an inclination where it would bend if we're doing bones. Okay, so you don't want to go kind of straight like this, because it will not unless you go to its limits, of course, set up limits to the rotation. You probably would be better if you incline it a little bit. Okay, so what I'm doing here is just going to kind of rotate it in such a way where it's a little bit relaxed. Okay, and this way we know where things should bend if we actually have a bone. So think of this as a knee if you're facing this way. Okay, you don't want this kind of straight where the bone would buckle the other way. All right, so after doing that, I will select all the three things that we three objects here that we rotated. Okay, and here on my item right here, I do want to kind of leave those, apply the transform, so it's kind of zero out all that stuff. Okay, so there's no value in there. All right, so we'll move this aside. Let's talk about armature. So add armature right here. Since we have our 3D cursor right there in the center of the world on top, that's when it created the bone. Okay, but you can't see it because we have to, while the bone is selected, or armature right here, you can see it. Armature is the entire rig. Okay, and we have our first bone. Okay, that one right there, we need to be able to see it. So go to armature right here. You'll see it's this running guy, dude. Viewport display, and you want to make sure you check in front. That way it shows up right here in front. Okay, you could see it. It's inside the model, but some reason, some viewing magic right there, you always see it up front. Okay, so I'm just going to go to edit mode and move that. All right, so when you're dealing with armature, you have object mode, which is you could move the entire thing. Edit mode this is when you're actually setting it up, when you want to move it at a certain location, so on and so forth, and parenting and unparenting. Okay, pose mode this is when you actually pose it to animate, like move it to animate, or this is where you set up your bone constraint. Okay, so let me repeat. When you're in object mode, you move the whole thing by itself. It just moves, you positioning it. When you're in edit mode, this is when you are adding to the bones or changing its location, like so. Okay, then if I press E, I extrude, I add to the bone. All right, And then when you're in pose mode, this is when you actually pose it to animate or add bone constraint. Okay, so I know it's confusing right now, but we'll just kind of follow along. All right, so I'm going to go to edit mode since that's what we're interested in right now. We just want to make sure that we can create a bone and then just kind of study it for now. All right, so edit mode, this is where we add to the bone by extruding, and then this is when we can parent and unparent. So if I grab, so you have your two parts, right? Tails and heads, if you want to call it that. All right, but let's not go super technical right now. We're just going to grab basically the top right here. Okay, so that's when we created it, and then when you create your armature, you get these two parts already. Okay, so I can position this anywhere I want, and then when I press E to extrude while the top one is selected, you can get a chain of this, and they're all connected and parent. Okay, so if I go to pose mode, each one I can move, but it's only doing rotation, of course. Okay, rotate this, and then they're in a chain right here. So all right, being the parent and going all the way around. All right, so if I were to go back to let me undo all this. All right, so you can kind of tell where we're going with this, because if we wanted to create kind of like a bone similar to this, I would go press G to move it here, then press E. That's kind of like this formation here, minus the base and the neck base right there. Okay, so if I were to go to pose mode at this point, it's like the previous video setup. Okay, and I can lock the stuff here, except quaternion right here. We're going to probably change it to the Euler XYZ, which is more technical stuff, but we'll get into that later. Okay, and there you have it. So I can basically mimic that entire setup that we did with a bone, and just let our bone kind of control our object right here. Okay, so if you're just doing forward kinematics, you don't need to do this here, because you can just easily select your object and rotate it or transform, and it'll do the same thing. Okay, but this is for inverse kinematic, where we can simplify our animation by having a controller. Okay, so this is how it works, and then let's set up our inverse kinematics here. Okay, all right, so let's set up our inverse kinematics and just kind of show that how it works. Same thing as before. So that's our 3D cursor, so that's where the bone will start. So I'm gonna go add armature. Okay, we're gonna go to the armature dude right here, viewport display in front. Okay, I will then grab this and just kind of move it here. All right, we will go to edit mode, and we'll kind of mimic this formation here. So I'm just going to press G, press E to extrude, and then that's kind of like the light bulb. Okay, the cone. All right, so in order for us to kind of set up our arcade, this will be our controller. So we need to unparent this. So I'm going to select this, and you don't have to follow along at this point. We're just kind of I'm just kind of explaining to you how inverse kinematics differs from forward kinematics. And then once we're actually rigging this exactly how it should be, that's when you follow along. All right, so I'm going to do Alt P right here to clear the parent. So this is now separated from the chain. Okay, and then we have to go to pose mode right now to set up the IK. So we're going to select this bone right here, the one that's in a way snap in position with your controller, right? So imagine this is the cone right here, where the one, like you're in a real lamp, you would be grabbing that to move it. Okay, so right here I'm going to go to add bone constraint. Okay, so this icon right here, pull this down, and then we need inverse kinematics. Once that's applied to this one, we have to tell the bones. All right, so when we created this, we have several bones here. Okay, I didn't name them yet. So this one is bone, this one is bone 001, this one is bone 002. Okay, so just remember, sorry, this is bone right here, this is bone 001, that's 002. So in the iCate, we'll ask which target, right? Which rig are you using? So we only have one armature. So if I click down here on target, we want the armature right here, okay? Which is the system that we started, okay? And then the bone, which one would be the controller it's asking, okay? So if I go down here, it will be bone 002. It's this one right here, since we didn't name it yet. Bone 002, so I'm gonna select that, okay? And right there, it's done. We just need to select this one now. We're in post mode, remember? So if I press G, you can see, there it is. Of course, there's limitations. So it allows you to go beyond the limits right now. But, you know, when you're animating, you have to, you can set limits to that, or you can just kind of keep an eye on it that you don't go past it. All right, so there it is. So we're just moving the top and everything is following along, which makes animation a little bit different from forward kinematics, okay? All right, so let me go to object mode and delete this now. All right, we will now concentrate on creating one for this, okay? So let's start with adding that armature. All right, it's right there. We have to turn on in front. Okay, and then I'm going to be using my transform tools here so you can see where I'm kind of moving that. All right, so I can go here with edit mode now, and I can select the whole thing and then drag it all the way down here. And I'm on the side viewport here, okay? Where the bone was created, it was at the center. If I go to the front, you see it? It's already at the center, so I don't have to worry about anything being left or right. It's dead smack center to our model. So I'm going to press number 3, okay? So you need to make sure when you model this guy right here, you make sure it's centered to the world so you don't have to worry about positioning your bones where they're supposed to be in the center. Okay, so there it is. I'm going to grab its top right here. I'm going to go to the move tool, and I'm going to bring that down. So this will be the bone for the base. Okay, and I'm kind of centering it already for the base neck right here. So now I'm going to press E to extrude. But this one just went wherever it wants. So it's already extruded. So what I'll do is right click to cancel that movement. Then I move this up here. And I'm kind of centering this where that joint is supposed to be. Okay, where that pivot point is. All right, so there's that. Okay, now I'm going to press E again. This time I don't need to be specific with going up or down because we're following this angle. Okay, and I'm going to turn on my X-ray mode right here just so that I can make sure when I press G here that that thing is centered to where it's supposed to be rotating. Okay, and then I'm going to need another one here. Press E, and I'm going to position that location right there. Okay, and then finally, since this is going to be pivoting kind of like so, I can actually extrude this just straight like this or go in here in the center. It doesn't really matter at this point. It will rotate at that location because of our setup, okay, where the bone system is. I'm just going to go like this one right there, okay? So there's the bone setup. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So let's start naming these things. But before I do that, while we're here, I'm going to select this one. Since this is our main controller, this is what we'll be grabbing. I'm going to go Alt-P, clear the parent. Okay, so it's separate. Okay, so we're going to call this one, we're going to start naming them. All right, so we're going to go to our bone setup right here, where we'll have the armature kind of open, and then there we go. Just kind of. All right, so remember the bone 004 is the top one. Got to rename this one. This is the cone. So we're just going to name it exactly. I'm going to put cone _B so we know it's the bone, not the object right there. Okay, and then we're going to go select this one. This one will be, I think we call this one spine 2. spine02 underscore B. So this one is spine1 underscore B. And then this one right here is the base neck underscore B. And then the last one is the base underscore B. All right, just so that we know which one is which. Okay, cone would be the main handle right there. All right, so now we are done with our setup here. I'm going to save this as inverse kinematics rig. All right, so that in case we crash, we don't have to kind of start over. All right, so there's that. We just have to kind of set up our IK now. Okay, so we got all the bones named. All right, so I'm going to go to post mode. All right, so we're going to select this. This will be the bone that we're going to set up our inverse kinematics. So I'm going to go make sure that, again, in front. That's why we're able to see it right here. I'm going to go here to our bone constraint and then add inverse kinematic. Okay, now it's applied. We just have to tell it which one to apply this to. We didn't rename our armature. It's called armature still. So, all right. So target will be armature. Okay, and then the bone will be cone B, which is that cone right there, right? The bone for the cone B. All right. So there it is. So now let's try it. So I'm going to select the cone B right here and then press G. But look what's happening. It's kind of working, except those things shouldn't be rocking right there. It's supposed to be static because those things are rigid. Okay. So what we need to do is set up a chain length limit. Okay. So we need to tell Blender, hey, we're only using certain amount of chain right here, so don't affect the rest. All right. So if I put chain 1 right here, okay, let's take a look. If I select this, all right. Not enough. Okay, we need to include this one right here. So I'm going to put chain length at 2. When I grab this, here we go. So it's now working. Okay, so the rig is pretty much set. All right, and it's those things are basically being static. So let's kind of do a setup here on the sidebar with our rig so that it doesn't do what it's not supposed to do. Okay, so first the bone at the bottom. What is the limitation on this one? Well, we're supposed to be able to move this anywhere, correct? As you can see here, it's doing that part. There's certain things you can do. You can actually parent this to that so that wherever you move it, it follows along. However, you will miss the opportunity where you could do kind of like the Pixar jump on the lamp, where the head is staying right there. So we'll leave that and we'll animate it going along. All right. So for this one, no scaling for sure. Right. Location, yes, you can go X, Y, and Z. It can do all those. What about rotation? Okay. Rotation on this one, we will provide the rotation for the base neck. So we won't be rotating anything here. So we'll just lock in all the rotation as well. So there's no rotation possible for it. Just movement. Okay. So next, we're going to go to the base neck. All right. So what about this one? No scaling for sure. Okay. What about location? Nope. Right. What about rotation right here? So quaternion is the available one, and this is the more complex type of rotation because it's what's recommended if you don't want anything gimbal locking and all that kind of stuff. So, but we're going to simplify it, right? So we want to keep it like XYZ only because it's a simple kind of rotation. All right. So we will change this one from quaternion WXYZ to Euler XYZ. So just the first option right here, Euler XYZ. So we're going to lock also. So let's see first what rotation angle is allowed. So I'm going to go to my rotate tool right here, and then we're going to do this rotation. Let's see. All right, that's not allowed. What else is allowed? Y-axis is allowed. Z-axis as well. So if we lock in X and Y, just leave Z. Oh, it's the actually it's Y. All right, then we can rotate it, and then we'll have forward kinematics animation on this top right here. All right, and we can animate this kind of parented to that if we want to, so on and so forth. All right, so for now we'll just kind of leave it like that so that we can do our animation in forward kinematics and then inverse kinematics on this stuff. Okay. All right. So what about this one right here? For sure, we'll be controlling it with this. We don't have to worry about this one right here. So we're going to lock in scale. We're also going to give it Euler XYZ. Okay. And the only rotation it's allowed is going to be whatever this tells it to do. So we're going to lock all its animation. Oh, that's not it. It's this one right here. Okay, I mean its location right there, just in case. And then this one will do the same thing. Euler XYZ, lock those. And then finally with the controller, okay, no scaling on this one. We're just basically moving it. We're not even rotating it. So, but we'll give it an Euler XYZ right there. Oh yeah, we'll give it a rotation. Sorry. And the limitation for the rotation on this one will just be on the X. So we'll lock in Y and Z. So when we want to animate it forward kinematics and then inverse kinematics, okay. And then for the position, it's not allowed to do sideways because the fact that this thing is rigid. So it can only go up and down and sideways. So no X movement. So when we press G, it's only lock in to go kind of up and down like so. Then we can add a rotation on that one if we parent it to that. Okay, so all right, so that's our rig right now. This one is not allowed. It's only allowed to do kind of up and down, back and forth, no sideways movement. Okay, so if you move this, by the way, and you want it to go back to where it was, so just select all the bones in pose mode and then do Alt G or Option G. Okay, so our rig is done, and we're now ready to apply the rig into the model. Okay, so but let's go one more thing right here. So go to edit mode. I want to parent this one to that for now. Okay, so it will give us the animation that we need to mimic the previous animation, the previous lesson. Okay, so I'm gonna parent the controller to the base neck right here. Okay, so when I do Control P, I'm just gonna keep offset because we want to have it here, not jump in connected to this one. So now when we go to our pose mode, we move it like so. We rotate it with we do our rotation with this. All right, and it should kind of follow along. So if we go to local right here, okay, okay, remember our local and global from the previous lesson. Okay, so I'm going to select everything here, Alt G, make it go back to and then we'll do Alt R to reset the rotation. All right, so if you select everything, Alt G, reset grab or movement, and then Option R, reset all the rotation. All right, there we go. So now it's ready to go for the parent to the merging of the bone and the model. Okay, so for our model right here, there's two types that we're going to learn. The reason we're learning two is that this will be the same lesson how you would weight paint your organic character. All right, so we'll show you two ways to do it. One with the option to do automatic weights, which it will then select which area of the model it's supposed to go to certain bones, and then one being specific where we actually tell it, hey, don't add any weight pairing with this. We're just going to assign the vertex group or the model or the pieces of the model to a particular bone. Okay, so we'll do it two ways. So this one is for automatic weight. So first thing we need to do is select all the objects that we need for let's go to object mode first, sorry. Okay, select all the parts of the model. We're going to include the light bulb there as well. Okay, so we got the base neck, spine 1, spine 2, cone, and then the lamp inside. And after that, you shift click the main parent bone, which is the first bone we made, the base bone right here. Shift click it, and it selects all the bone structure all the way up. Okay, and now we need to do is Control P, kind of like when you parent. Control P, then we have this option. Okay, we're not using any envelope weights for sure. We're doing automatic weights for this one, and the next batch would be with empty groups. Okay, so before I do that, I will save this so that I can come back to this one, rig option. Okay, so that I can come back to this exact same moment to select empty weights. Okay, so again, we're Control P doing automatic weights on this one. So let's click on automatic weights, and as you can see here, if I select the bone, go to post mode, it looks like it's going to work. Look at it. All right, so it's the lamp now is being controlled by this one, but you can tell something is up because there's certain parts that never made it. You see those kind of parts that are kind of left behind there. Okay, that's because it automatically did the weight and it didn't really know which part's supposed to belong where. All right, so we're going to do some paint weighting on this one. Okay, we will actually paint the object. So best way to do this is to actually move your bones like so that you know which one is being affected or not. Okay, so in weight painting, when it's red, that means it belongs to that bone. So, and then blue means it's not belonging to that bone, or subtraction. Okay, so in order to do paint weight, we need to select our object that we want to paint weight. So I'm going to go to object mode, select the base right here. So this would be the simplest one to understand, and then this one belongs to this bone, which is bone underscore B. Okay, and we just need to tell it to hey, just be exclusive to this. Okay, so once this object is selected, I'm going to go to object mode here, weight paint. Okay, I'm going to click on weight paint, and when I do that, I'm going to go here with our data property, and all the bones where this is supposed to belong, and all the bones actually are going to be listed here. So this one belongs to base B right here, which is that base bone. So if I select that, as you can see, it's not even red. It's halfway, so that's why it's green. So that's why whenever I move other bones, it gets affected also. All right, so what we need to do is change the painting on this so that it turns red. Okay, so right now my weight is at 100, strength that's 100. The brush method right here is what we need to replace. So I'm going to click this, and then instead of blending it as a mix, we're just going to click add. Okay, so when we click add, we paint. I'm going to press F right here to increase my radius, and then when I paint this, you can see it's starting to stabilize. You see it? It used to be kind of warpy. So if I paint all those points right there, let me see, some angles are more difficult than others. All right, there we go. So now it's all red, but it's still kind of warping a bit. Okay, if I go to number 3 right here, you see it? Even though we added it, right? So it's still doing that. All right, so now let's take a look. Okay, what about base neck bone? This one right here, is it affecting it? Let's check. Well, it's not supposed to, but as you can see right here, it's kind of blue, but something is still definitely affecting it. So what about spine 01? All right, spine 01 is definitely affecting it. All right, So what about spine 02? No, cone B is fine. So spine 02, we need to make sure that that's not affecting it. Okay, so what I'll do is just go to brush. Instead of add, I'm going to go subtract. And I'm going to paint it so it turns blue. As you can see here, it's stabilizing. All right, you see that? It's no longer blue, and okay, we got it like so. All right, so let's take a look. So now if we check, base B is pure red, all the other bones are going up. All right, it's not affected. Excellent. We go to the next object. So I'm going to go object mode, select the base neck. We go to weight paint. All right, so this one belongs to base neck right here, and it's not even pure red. So we want to make sure, let's go add first. I know it's kind of redundant going back and forth, but it's good for learning. Okay, so we have the base neck selected. We've selected the base neck bone right here. So we want to paint this until everything kind of turns red. So a little tricky here because of it's a rigid body, and we're depending on the angle. So that's why we have another option later on called empty group, which will make this one what we want. Okay, so you guys following along will have to decide which one you want to follow, but this method right here is designed for it's designed for organic model. Okay, but we're just kind of learning it right now, so that when we get to the organic model part, you already seen it. Okay, even though you're not going to use it for this one because just kind of demoing it here. All right, so what else I got? It's a little tricky there. All right, did I get everything? Oh, no. I'm gonna turn on wireframe mode here. Maybe the angle would be better. Oh, there you go. Let's see, where is this guy coming from? There you go. Got it all red. Okay, now I'm gonna go change it to subtract. Let's take a look. This is the base. Oh yeah, base is it's not supposed to have any influence on this at all because that's for the bottom. All right. All right, so why are we demoing this? So that you guys understand what happens when you apply a bone. There's parts that would, affect other areas. So what about spine? Yeah, spine a lot actually. So all this needs to be blue. We're subtracting all the influence of all the other bones. Okay, it's supposed to be just for base neck only. So spine. The further the bone is, the less likely it will have any influence on this. All right, looks like that one is done. I'm going to go to object mode, select the next object up, which is spine 01. Again, and go to weight paint. And let's take a look. So this is supposed to be the spine 1, and it barely has any influence in its own object and bone, right? So let's go to cone. Let's see what's affecting this. All right, spine 2 is affecting it, so that's no good. Okay, so we're in subtract. But let's do it properly. Let's go to spine 1. Okay, this is the spine 1 object. Let's move this to add so that we can see it turning red. Okay, so as you can see here, when I'm painting it, basically, hey, belong to spine 01. Look at all the other objects just kind of jump in there. Okay. All right. Remember, they would look like they're scattered. The reason for that is our model is only joined. It's not a boolean. It's not a one piece. So, that's why it's like all over the place kind of deal. And I'm just kind of clicking along when you're painting, just kind of. All right, and if your computer is not, doesn't have a lot of RAM and whatnot, this is something where you want to keep saving. You risk actually, what do you call this? Crashing. That one's a little tricky because I don't know where that point is. We're really looking for that angle. We're probably better off doing subtract on the other ones. All right, it's quite tricky right there. There you go, I found it. All right, so we got everything turning red, so now we just have to check the areas that it's not supposed to affect. So I'm gonna go subtract, and let's check spine 02. This should be pure blue, right? There shouldn't be any influence on spine 2 on the spine 1 object. All right, that one is pretty quick. I think we got everything. What about the cone? Again, the further away the bone is, there's less likely any influence on it. Base neck, oh yeah, for sure. So base neck is affecting the bottom part. What about base? No, it's clear. Okay, so we're done with that one. I'm going to go to object mode, select spine 2 object. This one right here, yeah, this one is badly skewed. So we can tell right here that this thing is not where it's supposed to be. Okay, so I'm going to go weight paint. All right, weight paint right there. And then this one is spine 2. All right, so let's go to add. Let's make everything red. So spine 2 object for spine 2 bone. All right, there you go. And it's starting to correct itself. All right, because it's skewed like so because of all the influence of all the other bones. Okay. This one right here is not even, it got left behind right there. Okay. So we're just going to add it to that weird skewed angle. All right, let me see here if I need to add anything here, because we can just go subtract it, so that'll fix it. The problem with this, again, it's because it's rigid body, quite tricky. You got to find that angle. Okay, so it's this way. No? All right, that empty group's looking more appealing now. All right. I might have to repose it just so that we could probably grab that easier. Okay, so let me go to object mode here, and then go to select the bone, go to pose mode. I'm gonna go to the side viewport. Okay, so I'm gonna go like so, so it's closer to it. There we go. So as you can see, now we can easily paint that easier than before. Okay, so select the object here. Oh, sorry, object mode, select the object, weight paint, we're in addition, there we go, it's a lot easier. All right, so we're going to go to subtract now. Let's find the cone. Okay, cone is affecting it, so we'll paint subtract, do not affect it, and that's pretty much it for that one. What about spine 1? Yep, do not affect this object at all. There we go. And I doubt we'll have anything on base because it's too far. All right, it's nothing in there. Object mode, select now the cone, weight paint. So we should be red on the cone, so let's go change that to add, and then just paint all this till it turns red. There's probably some stuff inside the actual model. The actual cone itself. All right, looks like my model here got all squashed, but it's hidden, so it's fine. Huh. All right here. Again, if it's too hard like this, we can just change the pose so it's not too pulled. I'm almost done. All right, now let's get the pose. a little bit closer to, oops, sorry, post mode. Or Alt, sorry, press A to select everything, Alt G. Okay, so at least it's relaxed right now. So select the cone right here. Let's go to weight paint, and it's actually inside, so there it is. Got it. One click. All right, let's do the subtraction now. Spine, yep, spine is affecting it, the bottom a little bit. There we go. Spine 1, I doubt it because there shouldn't be any base neck too far. All right, and last we added the this guy right here. So this should be exclusive to weight paint. The cone only, right? So cone should be pure red. Add. Oop. Oh. Wrong brush. All right, we want to make sure this is all red. And then subtract. Spine. All right, nothing on spine. Good. Spine 1. All right, that's almost exclusive to that one. So the paint weight is now done. So we go to our bone right here and post mode it. All right, and let's take a look. All right, nothing is moving. That's not supposed to move. The bottom is pretty much flat. It's good. Okay, so now we can animate this. Move that, rotate it, it works. Okay, if we go to our local mode, we go to that one right there, bring on our, okay, we can go like so. Local, it can still fix itself like so. Press G. It's not swinging left and right. All right, excellent. Okay, because we all the restrictions that we added. So if I go number 3 right here, select everything in post mode, press A, Alt G to reset the movement, Alt R for the rotation, and we're back. We're good to go regarding animating this. Okay, so now we'll go to the easier route, which is the armature using, skinning it based on empty group. Okay, so I will go back to, I will save this as a different one. So rig inverse kinematics, I'm going to put done for complete. All right, so we can animate it with that one. And then here I'm going to the rig option. So this is that point before where we hit Control P and we did automatic weights, right? Now we're going to do the empty group. So this is what you want when it comes to rigid body rigging. All right, so if I'm going to click on empty group, voila. All right, nothing will happen. So I'm going to go to select the bone right here, go to post mode, okay, and then move it. As you can see, because it's empty group, it did not assign any model to the bone. All right, so let's go to the object right now. So I'm going to go to object mode. I'm going to select this base one, right? So since this is through vertex selection, you need to be in edit mode. Hit tab, go to point mode, and make sure all the vertices are selected. I press A right here. Let me turn on screencast. Okay, I selected everything. Then we're going to go here. Okay, the data object, and as you can see here, it lists all the bones where it will be assigned or not assigned. Okay, so this is the base. It should be assigned to only one bone, which is the base B, right? So let's get rid of all the other bones that might have any possible influence. So I'm going to hit minus. cone minus only for base B, and then I click assign. So all the bones, all that bone, sorry, with that single bone, base B is now assigned for all these objects. So a lot faster than painting. So I'm going to hit tab, go to the next one. Okay, this is the base neck. Hit tab, press A, make sure all the vertices are selected. And then here we are. It's not a cone. It's not base B. Let's delete all the other ones. Just select this and then click assign. Now that's applied to that. We go to the next object. Press tab, edit mode, press A to select everything. This is spine 1, right? So let's get rid of all the other bones. That's not spine 1. Spine 1 is selected, click assign. Next, right here. Okay, so we're gonna go edit mode, press A. Make sure you press A to select everything, because if you assign it to spine 2 and you only have a few of those selected, then that's all you're gonna have influence on. So this is spine 2, so I'm gonna get rid of base neck, spine 1, assign. All right, then next object, the cone. Press A to select everything. Delete everything else. Cone B. Cone underscore bone, that's what it means. Assign. That's done. And then finally, the bulb right here. Press A. That goes to the cone as well. All right, now, moment of truth. Sideways right here. I'm going to go local. Select this. Bone. Post mode. Voila. It works that quick and there's no warping or anything. All right, so that will complete our rig setup, and next video would be the animation.